Ladies and gentlemen, I am Indie Pride. Welcome back to Milk and Cookies Total War. We got some Lizardmen Campaign footage today in a Let's Play with Hexoatl, City of the Sun, one of two playable Lizardmen subfactions. The other, of course, is Kroq-Gar and the Last Defenders of Xoatl, located in the southeast corner of the Southlands, but this campaign starts in Lustria. Hexoatl's legendary lord is, of course, Mazdamundi, the greatest living Slann Mage Priest and a virtually unparalleled spellcaster, the spiritual successor and protege of Lord Kroq. Although many of the Slann Mage Priests have slumbered for centuries, sometimes millennia, Mazdamundi has shaken off the lethargy that accompanies their deep, trance-like meditations and become the most proactive of his kind, leading giant armies in a bid to purge Lustria of chaotic and Thagaraki influence. And in this playthrough, looks like he's been doing a pretty damn good job of it too. We get a better look at the Geomantic Web, the magical currents and communication nexus connecting temple cities spread throughout the world, Lizardmen rites, rituals, and blessed spawnings as well. You know the drill by now. We'll be moving through the video, occasionally pausing to do a bit of analysis and discussion. And by a bit, I mean it'll probably go 30 or 40 minutes. So let's get started.
Hello and welcome to the latest Total War Warhammer 2 campaign walkthrough. Today we're playing as the Lizardmen faction of Hexoatl led by the ancient Slann mage priest Mazdamundi. We're 79 turns into this campaign and as you can see from the overview map we've been steadily expanding throughout Lustria. Using the overlays you can see we've got a great relationship with our neighbours Zlan Huapek, and we are in reasonable stead with Teclis and his Elven Order of Lawmasters. Though the public order overlay here shows we've got some issues to keep an eye on in our newly annexed territory north and south. Down to ground level and we can see Mazdamundi himself mounted on his faithful Stegodon steed Zlak.
So one of the first things I want to draw your attention to in this Let's Play is the contrast between the Mazdamundi playthrough and the Teclis playthrough that we saw last week. So in that Teclis Order of Loremasters playthrough, we saw that around a turn 130, Teclis was in control of 3 full provinces. So very slow-paced campaign there, very diplomatic, very high elven-y, I guess you could say. And basically, in that playthrough, they were definitely role-playing, they were definitely trying to engage in a lot of diplomacy, engage in a lot of the behind-the-scenes shenanigans, political intrigue, to make other factions go to war with each other. With this playthrough, with the Lizardmen playthrough, we're on turn 80, so about 50 turns less than the last playthrough, and he's in control of way more territories, exerting a lot of control over northern Lustria, Chotek's Causeway, Mirror Pool of Tepak, the Great Guardians to the north. Sildrator is under his command as well, so the southern portions of Nagaroth, he's expanded a lot more than the High Elves did in their playthrough. So it's nice to be able to see that you're still going to be able to do the kind of conquering that you were able to do in the previous Total War games and expand pretty rapidly if you want to go for that kind of playthrough, which I think the Lizardmen in general are definitely going to be going for. There are a couple other things here that we can notice from the screen right now. So for one, we can see that this Skink Chief here, or Skink Priest rather, is a Lore of Beast caster. So that is confirmed for the Lizardmen that their hero characters, the Skink Chiefs, will be Lore of Beast, so they'll have access to Flock of Doom, Weisson's Wild Form, and all the other spells from that Lore of Magic. And Mazdamundi is already level 26 on turn 80, so he's been kicking ass for sure. He has Lack, he has a lot of items, and he's been doing some serious conquering for sure. So let's take a look at his skill tree real quick.
Standing guards at the gates to his capital city. At level 26 he's pretty well equipped already and has earned a number of bonus effects through the new trait system.
Okay, so this new trait system is really cool. I'm very, very glad to see that it's been made more transparent. A lot of the traits in Game 1, I didn't feel like were very transparent at all. I didn't really know why I was getting the traits. I didn't know why they were a certain level, why I was getting these certain debuffs. And here you can see the reason for why you're getting the trait, so achieve victory from multiple offensive battles, and you're getting multiple levels, and you're seeing that as that trait continues moving forward or backward, depending on how it interacts with what's going on in the actual campaign, you're going to be getting bigger bonuses or bigger debuffs depending. So superior attacker here, the highest tier version of the trait gives you +7 leadership when attacking, 30% leadership aura size, +4 melee attack. So that is a really nice quality of life change that I think is going to add a lot to the trait system, make it a lot more transparent, make it a lot more interesting to use and kind of be able to manipulate. So I can see, oh, I just want to battle, this is why I'm getting this trait, let's push it further and get higher levels of it. You'll be able to see that now.
Which now enables Lords to level up in a variety of different areas as they successfully or unsuccessfully engage in certain actions. Looking at Mazdamundi's skills panel, we can also see he's a powerful spellcaster with a selection of some of the more useful and powerful spells from multiple different lores.
Alright, so this has been a pretty hot topic of debate. Slann Mage Priests are amongst the best casters in the Warhammer Fantasy Battle universe, and Mazdamundi is the preeminent living Slann Mage Priest of them all. He's the #1 guy. He is arguably the strongest living caster in the Warhammer Fantasy Battle universe. So, a lot of people argue that he should have access to all 8 winds of magic, and that you should be able to completely kit out Mazdamundi regarding whatever spells you want to take, whatever spells you want to invest time, effort, and energy into getting, you should be able to get. I understand where they're coming from, and to a pretty decent extent, I agree. I think that that would make playing Mazdamundi an absolute blast. Being able to completely kit him out from the ground up, being able to choose whatever spells you want to invest that time into getting, I think that'd be awesome for the game. I can understand why CA didn't go that route with the skill tree. Like, his skill tree is already gigantic. Having 8 lores of magic in there might have just been a nightmare from a UI perspective, although I'm sure they could have worked around that. I will say that his spell selection is really damn good. Okay, so he's got a single target heal that causes fear and apotheosis. He has a Net of Ammontok, which we already know is one of the strongest, if not the strongest spells in Total War Warhammer 1. He has Curse of the Midnight Wind, which is arguably the strongest AoE debuff spell in the game. He has Arcane Unforgiving, which is a direct damage spell. He's got Comet of Cassandora, which just has a ton of synergy with some of his bound spells, and with Net of Ammontok, being able to freeze a unit completely in place and then drop a bombardment or a Vortex spell on top of them. It's really strong. So he's got a lot going for him in terms of his spell selection. No, it's not as much as I would love to see him have. I would love to see him have literally every lore in the game and you pick what spells you want. That would be incredibly fun, but it's not what CA has gone for. So I will say, with the addition of the bound spells, the Focus of Mysteries, which gives him Banishment, a Vortex spell from the Lore of Light, and Ruination of Cities, which is his own unique triple wind spell, which we've already seen in multiplayer, and I assume in campaign as well, can be pretty devastating. I think he has enough to say, this guy's pretty damn strong, and he's been done. You can't really do justice to Slann Mage Priests, right? Because they're so ridiculously powerful. It's the same problem that Nagash and Teclis and some other casters are going to have. You can't do them true justice, just like you can't really do Kolek or Archaon true justice. Because if you did them true justice, there would be no point in playing the battles. They'd be soloing armies by themselves. But I still like the skill tree that we have here. I think it's pretty cool. He's got regeneration, transcendent healing. He can actually start regenerating once you get him a certain level as well. Like, he's just got a lot of stuff going for him. So maybe not the best skill tree CA could have implemented, but it's still pretty damn awesome.
A full spellcaster with a selection of some of the more useful and powerful spells from multiple different lores. Further improving his magical abilities is this unique skill chain, which enables him to better harness the winds of magic, and culminates in 2 powerful bound spells, Focus of Mysteries and the devastating triple wind spell Ruination of Cities, which we will unlock now. A feature unique to the Lizardmen is their ability to tap the Geomantic Web, an ancient nexus of mystical power lines. Settlements can be upgraded to take advantage of this and power up their provincial commandments. You can see that all settlements are connected on the web, which is colour-coded to denote the strength of their connection. Hovering over the active provincial commandment, we can see this province is working at strength level 3.
Obviously, we can see that the City of the Sun and presumably other provincial capitals will have those 10 building slots, which is going to be super nice. Fantastic change from game 1. I've never felt that like 6 slots was enough. I think that 10 really does give you the ability to really kit a city out to its fullest potential, and really makes those provincial capitals feel important for sure. Being able to build everything up, tier it up, and basically just make it a recruitment and a economic center is a pretty big deal, I think. Looking at the commandments on the left side of your screen, we can see one of them is called Alignment of Monuments, wins a magic power reserve +2 to all forces, which is pretty minimal, but I think that's the lowest level version of it, and then 3% research rate. But we'll take a look at the other ones here in a second. So right here we have Alignment of Order, which gives you the Holy Stella army ability, which gives you a debuff that you can use against the enemy. Minus 60% accuracy for all units inside a 40-meter radius, which will be particularly useful against the High Elves, I would think, and maybe the Skaven as well. And you get a lot of other stuff in there as well. Chance of plague spreading minus 30% to local armies. Remember that certain units like the Plague Priest from the right, the Skaven Rites, will be able to spread disease in your settlements. So in Lustria, fighting against Clan Pestilence is going to be very important, being able to stop plague. Plague duration minus 30% when it does manage to grab hold in your settlements. Minus 15% enemy hero action success chance. +3 siege holdout time. And +3 to Untainted, which will, of course, battle Skaven corruption and chaos corruption as well.
Giving us a commensurate suite of bonus.
And finally, Alignment of War, +9% strength, weapon strength for all units. +2 unit experience for all unit recruits, minus 20% recruitment cost, and +6 leadership. I believe that is the level 3 version of it, so it'll probably be able to tier up all the way to 15% weapon strength, plus maybe 4 unit experience. I'm not sure exactly what the top level, the level 5 version of this commandment will be, but they'll definitely all be able to tier up and become much more impactful as you connect these cities and the Geomantic Web, which Al will explain in detail right here.
Bonuses to our current commandment or any others that we choose to enact. Now this Geomantic Strength is dictated by two things: the Geomantic Pylon building chain level and the fact that an adjacent settlement on the web needs to be operating at the same level. Hexoatl's connection here is pulsing because its access to the web is more advanced than that of adjacent settlements, and its commandments can theoretically be operating at a higher level than they currently are. But right now it's being held back, so if we upgrade the pylon chain in Skeggy here, we will in due course have access to Strength 4 commandments. Like the other playable races, Lizardmen get 4 unique rites they can perform. If you wish to awaken a powerful Slan to lead one of your armies, then here's how you add him to your recruitment pool. All rites have...
Alright, so let's take a look at the Lizardmen rites here. We have the Rite of Awakening, so the only way to add Slan Mage Priests to your recruitment pool are through these rites. I really like that. That is super lore friendly. The fact that it is a very rare thing for Slan Mage Priests to be awoken, get out of that lethargic state that they're in those trance-like meditations. The fact that you're able to get them into your recruitment pool, they're going to be very powerful casters, but you're going to have limited access to them. I like that a lot. Now the question is, are the regular Slan Mage Priests actually going to be very powerful? Certainly with Mazdamundi's skill tree, he has a unique skill tree, so you know that he's going to have access to stuff that a normal Slan Mage Priest wouldn't. Or are we just going to get like a traditional Lore of Life Slan Mage Priest, and there's not really going to be anything unique and special about them? I don't know. Certainly putting them on a Stegodon, they're going to be good casters, and tanky, and decent in melee as well. I'm a little worried that they're not really going to be up to snuff, that this Rite of Awakening, I really like the idea of it. Is the implementation of the Slan Mage Priest actually going to be worth awakening them? I don't know, remains to be seen. I don't want Slan Mage Priest to be just like a normal caster. I want them to have something unique in their skill tree that really differentiates them. But we'll see how CA does that. The Rite of Ferocity gives you plus 80 unit experience per turn, plus 2 unit experience for all unit recruits, plus 25% income from post-battle loot, and 1 to local recruitment capacity across all provinces for looks like 20 turns. And then the Rite of Sotek, I like this one too. Sotek is obviously the serpent god who I believe is modeled after Quetzalcoatl from the Aztec pantheon, and he basically enables attrition for foreign armies within your territory, which is pretty cool. I like that, very lore friendly, the fact that basically Sotek was the original deity that saw Clan Pestilence get their asses kicked completely out of Lustria to begin with. Yes, obviously they've come back with a very powerful invasion force led by Lord Skrolk in this campaign, but I like that you're going to be able to cause attrition to enemy forces. Will that be impactful? I don't know. I believe in Total War Warhammer 1 that the AI often only has like a 1% or 2% attrition rate, because the AI is frankly a lot of times really dumb, and they're going to do stupid things like go out on the open sea and let themselves take a bunch of attrition for no reason whatsoever. So to counteract that, they take much less attrition. I don't know if that will be changed in Total War Warhammer 2 so that this will be actually impactful. We know that with the end game with Norska, for instance, if you chose to go with the Crow, or with Nurgle, quote-unquote, you would get that massive global attrition rate. But I don't know how impactful that was because I never played a Norska Nurgle aligned campaign. So someone could let me know in the comment section what kind of impact that had. That'd be good to know. I don't know if that was a 1% attrition rate for all armies or if it was much more impactful than that. And then it also gives that plus 50% ambush success chance, which is pretty cool. And then the Rite of Primeval Glory. So an army of Feral Carnosaur, Stegodon, and Bastiladon units will spawn at your faction's capital. And that gives you the army ability Feral Cold Ones, where you basically beam down cold ones from space. Not my favorite army ability, honestly. It's fun in practice. It's a little... You can definitely make the argument that a Slann Mage Priest just beamed in some cold ones. It's not a big leap of logic there. They are that powerful. They do have the ability to transport armies. So that's basically what's happening. I'm glad it's not in multiplayer, or at least I don't think that it is, because it kind of defeats the purpose of having range units if you can just summon a unit anywhere on the battlefield directly on top of enemy skirmishers. I probably won't be using it a lot in my Lizardmen campaigns, but the idea is certainly impactful, I'll say that. So they have some pretty powerful rights here. I like the Slann Mage Priest idea. I like the spawning the army of Feral Carnosaurs and other dinosaurs in your capital. That's pretty awesome.
Unlock requirements marked in red here, and timed effect rights have both a duration and a cooldown period. The Rite of Primeval Glory here grants all our forces an army ability, enabling them to summon units of Feral Cold Ones directly into the heat of battle for the next 15 turns. Now, army abilities are granted in a whole variety of ways. For example, because Mazdamundi is currently stationed near Hexoatl, he's granted the...
Now right here is a pretty important point. There's another army ability called Geomantic Nexus that spawns a Skink Priest for that battle only. So it won't be a summon like the Clan Rats, the Menace Below, where you're going to summon them in and they'll lose HP over time. It doesn't look that way. It's looking like you'll only be able to use them for that one battle, but you'll have a Skink Priest that has access to spells. Might end up being a random Lore of Magic, whatever. I think they're going to be probably 2 or 3 Lores of Magic that Skink Priest will be able to choose from. Lore of Beast we know is one. I would assume Lore of Heavens will be another. Not 100% sure on that, but it will probably be random. You'll get a extra spellcaster for that battle, and then they'll disappear after the battle is over. So how that affects with the 20 unit cap or interacts with it, I'm not 100% sure on that either, but that still remains to be seen. Still pretty cool to be able to summon a Skink Priest in battle though.
Geomantic Nexus ability, enabling him to summon a Skink Priest spellcaster directly into battle. And it's the city itself and his adjacency to it that provides this particular ability. Taking a look at the Lizardmen building browser, you can see a relatively straightforward selection of building chains, granting resource boosts, civic improvements, and recruitment of the various unit types.
Hexoatl is going to be super rich in terms of an economy, starting with a gold mining pit there. We already know how that works for Castle Drakenhof with the vampire counts in Game 1. If you start with a gold mine in your settlement, it is going to be quite an economic powerhouse as you get into the... I mean, even the mid stages of the game, but definitely in the late stages, it will be incredibly impactful, especially with that ability to get 10 building slots inside the capital city itself.
Characters and monsters in the Lizardmen roster. As a legendary city, Hexoatl has some unique landmark building options too, granting some very powerful bonuses when the settlement reaches...
Let's go back here for a second. There's something really, well, interesting. So, some people were noticing that there were exotic animal resource production. I believe that's just a trade good, so that isn't some unique Lizardmen thing. It's just going to be exactly like gemstones and some of the other trade goods, dye, wine, some of the other trade goods that are already in Total War Warhammer 1, so I don't think that's a unique Lizardmen mechanic, but what the Blessed Incubator is going to provide is a gigantic upkeep reduction in dinosaur units, which is huge. I mean, 25% upkeep reduction for all Carnosaurs, all Bastiladons, all Stegodons, all Cold Ones, and all Pterodon Riders. That's big. And remember that upkeep reduction is a much bigger deal than a recruitment cost reduction, because recruitment cost reduction is that one-time fee. Upkeep, these armies are going to last you 100, 200, 300 turns, depending how long your campaign goes. So upkeep reduction on those will save you so much money in the long run and really help out your economy.
Bonuses when the settlement reaches level 5. The Lizardmen are also a very enlightened race, so it's no surprise to see an orderly and feature-packed tech tree here, offering improvements to pretty much every aspect of their military and civic matters. The second half and the final tier of this tree are...
The first time I saw this skill tree, I got super worried because I thought determining the Great Plan was the last thing that you unlocked in the skill tree. So I was like, plus 1 public order for all provinces? That is the most boring endgame tech I've ever heard. But no, it's just the one that unlocks the rest of the text in this particular part of the tech tree. So that's just the beginning one. It got me really nervous. I was like, why do I want to spend 200 turns getting to the end of this tech tree only to unlock plus 1 public order? It's about as boring as you can possibly imagine. But yeah, it's not what we're looking at. He doesn't go all the way down to Secrets of Beastkeepers, so we don't get a look at that, but you will quickly see him flip through, and there are some pretty powerful techs as we go through here.
Are gated behind single techs, which are unlocked by owning specific buildings, which in this particular case we have. The Lizardmen also have access to unique recruitment options called Blessed Spawnings. Blessed units are effectively elite versions of existing units and become available by completing missions which the game will periodically issue you. Blessed variants come with improved stats and bonus abilities. You can discern the difference via colouring and other markings. Here are some standard Saurus warriors and some Blessed Saurus warriors to their right, who benefit from better stats across the board and the perfect vigour trait, so they never run out of puff in battle. The Blessed Carnosaur is a truly nasty piece of work, as it moves 25% faster than a regular Carnosaur and gets a whopping 50% magic resistance buff.
Now, I am a little bit confused about that, because my understanding of the Lizardmen dinosaurs, the Stegodons, the Carnosaurs, is that they aren't actually spawned from spawning pools. They're the traditional fauna that live in Lustria. They're the prehistoric predators that are chilling on the continent already when the Lizardmen were there. So I don't know. The idea of an elite Carnosaur is awesome. I love the idea of Blessed Spawnings in general because it is straight from the lore. There are Blessed Spawnings related to Sotek. There are Blessed Spawnings related to Chotek, the god of the sun, and some of the Tlaxla and some of the god of war, a lot of the other Lizardmen deities. And they all have their own marketing. Some of them will have fins that raise from the back of their necks. Some will have different colorings. I love the fact that that's got implemented in the game. And for the Lizardmen units themselves, it's really cool. I'm really not going to freak out about lore here, but I don't know that it is particularly lore friendly that a Carnosaur is in a Blessed spawning. I do know that Krokgar came out of a very important group of spawnings. I mean, he was the head of a bunch of Old Bloods that became some of the most powerful Old Bloods and Saurus that were ever seen in the Lizardman Empire. So, and they were all given access to their own Carnosaurs, but I don't think the Carnosaurs actually came out with them in the spawning pools. I think they were just part of the continent, and the special spawning essentially went out and found them, got them, and brought them to heal. So, yeah, again, seeing that unit, having the buffs there, the plus 25% speed, and the other buffs that Carnosaur is going to have, I really like it, but from a lore perspective, not sure that it 100% makes sense. But if I'm wrong about that, someone feel free to let me know.
Up north now, and guarding our toehold in Nagaroth, is the Saurus Old Blood Uldo Morin and his army. To help him do this, we're going to place him in the Astromancy stance. This stance is unique to the Lizardmen and is excellent for defense and surveillance. Alongside granting Vanguard deployment to key units in the army, it brings a massive bonus to campaign line of sight and boosts the army's ambush and underway interception chance.
Unique dinosaur stance, where you get to go into the dinosaur pathways and fight all dinosaur battles in the dinosaurs. Yeah, like what I think that the quote-unquote unique army stances are, none of them that I've seen in this game so far have been particularly interesting. They're pretty much just rehashes of what were already in some of the other armies, which is fine. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing, but marketing it as unique it doesn't seem very unique to me. It basically just gives you a higher chance to ambush stuff and catch stuff that's moving through the underway. So, whatever. I mean, that's not really not a particularly important mechanic, especially in Lustria, I wouldn't think. You're not going to be fighting a whole lot of dwarfs. Certainly lots of Skaven, but I mean, that mechanic does not particularly excite me.
So looking at the big picture, we're making okay progress towards ultimate control of the Vortex in this playthrough, though we're lagging a little behind the other races. We're level pegging with Lothern in terms of how much ritual powering resource we've gathered, though they've just finished their second ritual, and we have yet to begin ours. We can also see that Nagarond and Clan Moors already have their second ritual in progress. So we've already captured and conquered the Mirror Pool of Tepok, which is a ritual resource-bearing settlement. This provides a turn-by-turn drip feed of ancient plaques, the currency the Lizardmen require to empower their rituals. Now, it's wise to capture such settlements and build up the trove chain as soon as you can, as the ritual income this gives you can make a massive difference over the course of your campaign. Another such resource site is located to our south, but it's owned by our friends, the Lizardmen faction of Zlanhuapek. Fortunately, we spent quite a lot of the game buttering them up to the point where they love us to bits, and we are just about ready to make an offer of confederacy. Okay, good stuff. We're now another stage along Mazdamundi's quest chain for his Cobra Mace, which is a superb legendary item that, among other things, grants him poison attacks.
Wanted to go back and give you a nice little freeze frame here for what the Cobra Mace of Mazdamundi actually does. It looks pretty powerful. So we've got post-battle chance of stealing a magic item 50%. So being able to steal magic items from other lords is going to be a very real possibility after each battle. I like that. That's pretty cool implementation. Plus 15 melee attack strong. It's a caster, so definitely going to be a significant percentage increase in that melee attack, because I don't think Mazdamundi's base attack is going to be very high whatsoever. Plus 12% weapon strength. Enables poison, always a big deal, especially when you've got Zlak imbuing poison on enemies. Yeah, he's an Arachnarok. He's literally like a caster on top of an Arachnarok there. That's crazy. And Untainted, plus 5 local province, so again, combating Chaos Corruption and Skaven Corruption. So that is definitely going to be an item you want to grab from Mazdamundi. Pretty strong right there.
Legendary item that, among other things, grants him poison attacks. So, Confederation was successful and our tribes have merged. We've inherited the ritual resource site we wanted, along with all their other holdings. But don't forget that when you confederate, you can inherit certain problems as well. We're nestled up against the Vampire Coast with its ever-present threats of creeping corruption, and just to the south of our new territory is a suspiciously large amount of ruins. Sure enough, Skaven corruption is rife in this area.
So that's a bit of a problem in head-to-head. I always kind of knew that it was going to be a little bit of a gimmick, which is fine. The Skaven ruin system, I don't know that you should be able to so clearly tell that a settlement or a region is completely corrupted by Skaven. You're not going to get outplayed by the AI or snuck up on or ambushed by the AI really anyway in campaign. And I realize that head-to-head is not exactly something that the Creative Assembly cares a whole lot about. The community for that is even smaller than regular multiplayer. But being able to just go into Skaven Corruption and be like, oh, this ruin is clearly held by the Skaven, I don't know that I like that. It is one of those house rules, though, where you can just say to yourself, hey, I'm not going to use this. I'm not going to look at Skaven Corruption to see how bad it is here, just so that I can be surprised, just so I can not kind of gimmick the whole situation. I think that it would be nice if there was a way to mask that corruption, especially in head-to-head campaign, because it really does defeat the purpose. If you're playing Skaven and your opponent's playing Lizardmen, they're going to just be able to open up that tab and say, oh wow, look, there's a lot of Skaven corruption here. I already know that you have a big army waiting for me there. I'm not going to attack the settlement. That kind of does defeat the purpose of the mechanic, and it is one of the selling points of the faction, so I don't know. I feel like there should be a little bit more depth there that would make it a bit more interesting, make it a little bit more dangerous to move into those settlements, move into those ruins, because you're not really supposed to know that the Skaven are there until you actually attack. And with the way it is now, you can tell before you move in.
Plus, given the name of this particular resource site, I think it's safe to assume these ruins are going to be rat-infested undercities. Fortunately, you can use your hero characters to poke their snouts into ruins and check for infestations. Bokzar here is one of our skink chiefs, and he's out exploring for us, so let's send him in to do some detective work. And sure enough, it turns out that this is Clan Pestilence country. With such a tiny garrison, this settlement is likely quite underdeveloped, but given the mass of ruins to the southwest, it feels like we'll be butting heads with Lord Skrulk and his pox-ridden swarms in due course.
I love this map so much, man. Like, it really is so much more alive than Game 1. It is so gorgeous. I can't say it enough. Like, CA has really, really hit the nail on the head with the New World. Every time I look at it, I'm just like, this map is just super impressive to look at, both visually and from a gameplay perspective. Like, I'm really looking forward to trying out this campaign and seeing how it all plays out, because it's shaping up really nicely, I think. We're so close now. It's less than 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks away from getting our hands on Total War Warhammer 2.
Alright, time to kick off Ritual 2 and get back in the race for the Vortex. The Ritual panel gives you a heads up as to which 3 settlements will become entwined with the Vortex for the Ritual's 10-turn duration. In this case, it's Hexoatl and 2 of our new acquisitions down south.
The ritual is underway, my lord. Even working together, it will take your greatest adept some time to complete. Such is the ritual's power that the great Vortex itself distorts under its pull. Be wary, though, for while the Vortex is weakened, the forces of chaos will slip into this world. Ready your defenses, for they will doubtless be drawn to the ritual's power.
Okay, so we've got 3 Chaos armies storming towards our southernmost settlements, and we are militarily weak there. Now this is exactly the kind of pace change that the whole ritual mechanic injects into your campaign. One minute you can be idly considering when you might go to war with some Skaven, the next you've got a considerable force beating down your door, and the clock is ticking. We can also interfere with other races' rituals too by deploying fire and forget intervention armies. Opening the...
So, I don't know, what do you guys think about this mechanic right here? I definitely like the fact that your settlements will come under attack. I'm not sure they should spawn in the settlement itself like a rebellion. I think it would be a bit more interesting if they... Well, I don't know if it would be more interesting, but certainly more realistic. Not that realism is some driving factor in the Warhammer Fantasy Battle universe, obviously. But seeing them come from someplace offshore in the fog of war, and then come in, so it'll take like 3 or 4 turns to get to those settlements. It's a 10-turn ritual, so I think it would make a bit more sense if there was some travel time for the armies instead of just popping up right next to the settlement. But it's definitely an interesting mechanic that's going to keep you on your toes for sure, and kind of stop that steamroll. That's one of the important things in Total War campaigns, something that we've had problems with since Rome 1, essentially since Shogun 1 even, that you hit that critical mass, sometimes very early on in the campaign. Once you've gotten past the first couple of factions that you're at war with, you just kind of start steamrolling, and there's no stopping it. And this will break up that monotony of the steamroll and be like, oh wow, you got a settlement here? Just kidding, now you've got 3 Chaos armies beating down your neck. We're going to beat the crap out of you. It's something you got to worry about for sure, and will probably give you some really epic battles. And what I'm really hoping is that those Chaos settlements, or Chaos armies, actually attack your settlements. And I get to play some defensive siege battles, because again, I've played a decent amount of campaign on Total War Warhammer 1. I have 1 defensive siege battle in a walled settlement. I know not everybody has that issue, but I've definitely seen plenty of people on the forums complain about that. That is something I am very much looking forward to in Total War Warhammer 2. Actually being able to fight defensive siege battles against big, scary Chaos armies and Skaven armies and others. So hopefully the AI here gets a little bit more aggressive and isn't just like trying to burn down random settlements that don't even have a garrison. I want them to go for the big provincial capitals that they're supposed to be going for and actually attack them with everything they have.
The interventions panel here shows us our options, and we can see that the Skaven and Nagarond are both nearing the end of their second rituals. Bigger armies cost more, of course, so let's fire off a desperate intervention against the Skaven. Checking the overview map, we now have a line of sight in Clan Moore's territory where our intervention army has appeared. These armies are AI controlled, and they have a single purpose: to conquer and raise the target ritual settlement.
Ooh, baby, that is a scary army right there. This is another mechanic that I think is going to be... Ultimately, I think this is going to be good for the game. Let's talk about the army first. This army is really scary. Asaurus Old Blood, 2 Temple Guard, 4 Chameleon Skinks, 2 Horned Ones, I believe, 4 Kroxigors, 4 Stegodons with the bolt thrower on top, and 3 Bastiladons with a solar engine. That is a high tier army. Yeah, he spent 10,000 gold for that, but with the economy the way it's going to be working in Total Warhammer 2, it looks like it's not even going to be that big an issue once you've got your armies, once you've got some expansion under your belt, once you've got your economy and your armies going. Like, that 10,000 gold is going to be a drop in the bucket. Like, it's going to hurt you in one turn, but it seems like in a lot of these campaign playthroughs, they're easily making that back per turn. So that's not actually that huge an investment. Being able to burn down a settlement with an AI army that's that strong, like, that is a scary, scary army. So I think this is actually good for the game. Some people are probably not going to like the mechanic, but I think what would have happened if it wasn't implemented this way is that a lot of these separate, disparate factions on different continents would have just been doing their rituals and never really had a whole lot of fighting going on that they had to do, a lot of defending they had to do to prevent rituals. Because you have to travel a very long way to get to Nagaroth from the Southlands, to get to Ulthuan from Lustria. It's just a lot of travel time for the player, and especially for the AI. You can't really expect the Malekith AI to send full stacks down to attack some settlement in the south of the Southlands. With this mechanic, the AI will be able to handle attacking you, quote unquote, with armies much easier and give you some kind of contest for these ritual sites, which I think is going to be important and make the whole mechanic make a lot more sense. It'd be really boring if you're sitting in your own continent doing your own thing for the whole campaign. You get to level 5 rituals and you've only dealt with chaos armies. This way, you're going to be dealing with factions, even if they're not able to really navigate the seas as well as they probably should be able to, you'll be able to fight Dark Elf, High Elf, and Lizardmen armies if you're playing Skaven in the Southlands. And I think that's important. I think that's a good mechanic. I think that it's maybe a little bit contrived, maybe a little bit silly to just see a full stack appear out of nowhere in the settlement, but from a pure gameplay perspective, from a there's going to be some epic battles that arise from it perspective, which is what I do, what I want when I play Total War. I think overall it will be a good thing for the game.
And quite the army it is, with lots of high tier units on board, and with luck it'll take out that settlement during the end turn cycle and scupper their ritual. And on that cliffhanger we'll leave Mazdamundi to his conundrums. Do follow us on social and keep an eye on our YouTube channel for a close-up look at the Lizardmen in battle coming very soon.
So yeah, overall, I did enjoy this playthrough. Got a decent look at the rituals, got a good look at the rites and the Geomantic Web system. I'm wondering what battle we're going to be getting with Lizardmen there. Maybe another battle for the Fallen Gates. We know that's kind of become a meme in the Total War scene. Hopefully not. I do want to see some more Kroxigor action, but it sounds like it might be a Mazdamundi battle. Let me know what you guys thought about the campaign in general. Let me know what you thought about these new mechanics, how the Lizardmen campaign is shaping up in general, what your thoughts were overall. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We're getting so close to Total War Warhammer 2 now. Cannot wait to bring you guys content for it. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Indie Pride, signing out for now.